Hey guys, welcome back to Prep Talk on Prepping in Progress. Today we're going to hit a subscriber's request of talking about rebuilding after a divorce. And we're going to hit emotional, a little bit of financial, and your preps. We're going to be a little more serious than usual. I know Prep Talk is supposed to be the uplifting, the you can do it, and it is. But it's going to be serious as well. So stay with me. So a little bit of background. 3 years ago, Miss Kim, who you see on some of the early videos, most of the early videos, and I split up. I had 1 month to move everything from southwest Arkansas, 200 and some miles, to northwest Arkansas, and pretty much start over. The promises that were made about, well, I'll pay off the Jeep since you came into this relationship with a owned vehicle, you'll leave with one. 2 months in, oh, I'm not making payments anymore. Meanwhile, I've been looking for a job and trying to get things settled in. And that's where we start. Luckily, in my case, I had the bug out location. It was a family-owned property, multiple generations. There was no way it could be taken. So I had a place to go. Some of you out there wouldn't in the same situation. Emotionally, you're in a lot of turmoil. Emotionally, you have doubts. Could I have done better? Was there something I did? Was there something I didn't do? And you have to analyze, and you have to be brutal with yourself. And in my case, I had started hanging out with friends. I had started making friends instead of always being at home. And I would spend my day cooking, cleaning, being the stay-at-home dad. And at the end of the day, I was exhausted, and I would go for a walk with one of my friends. And toward the end of the relationship, as things were fraying, the subject of our talks was, how do I save my marriage? And in fact, for Valentine's Day, I was told, don't get me anything. I don't want anything for Valentine's Day. I don't want to celebrate Valentine's Day. And my friend, she looked at me and she said, boy, you are going to Walmart. You are going to get the biggest Valentine's Day card you can find. You are going to do the chocolates, the roses, the whole nine. And I did. It didn't change anything, but I did, And you have to question, was the time that I spent after she went to bed trying to decompress, trying to get my head in the game, trying to find a way to save this, part of the problem? Did she feel that I wasn't lying there next to her in bed? Did she feel that I wasn't a part of her? Did I make a mistake? You have to ask yourself those things. And you have to decide for yourself, being brutally honest, looking yourself in the mirror. And if you can say, I did everything I could, then you can walk away with your head held high. And my head is high. but there are doubts. And I can remember pulling off on the side of the road at a church just south of Ponca, Arkansas, sitting on the concrete steps of this church in the middle of nowhere at 1 o'clock in the morning with a Jeep full of stuff and a trailer full of stuff and screaming at God, daring God to come down because I was gonna kick his rear end. You know, we were gonna wrestle all night long. I told him at one point he had some explaining to do when I got up to heaven. It took a while to remember that I had prayed, Lord, I don't believe in divorce. So if this is supposed to end, you need to push me out the door, slam it behind me, and nail it shut. And he did, with a little help from her friend at work. Was I angry? Yeah. Was I angry at God? Yeah. You know, here I am, come back to him, keeping the Sabbath again, keeping Torah, doing everything I can to honor him and to try to bring my family in line with his teachings. And boom. And I ended up calling out the guy from work. He had moved into the house, and I needed some stuff out of the house, like my grandfather's table. He comes up and he puts his hand on my shoulder and says, man, I want you to know nothing was going on with Kim before you two divorced. And I looked at him and I said, man, I want you to know, I know that's a lie. Let me recount to you the things you were doing. I got banned from the property, so I didn't even get all my stuff. There's a house in Mena, Arkansas that may have a blue toolbox sitting in the backyard with a lot of power tools, including an impact wrench. Was I wrong? Yeah. But I was messed up. My brain wasn't all there. And it's this that you have to clear your mind. You have to go through everything. And her moving someone into the house a week after she told me we were done. I mean, I saw him carry his little black bag into the bedroom on our security cameras. Okay? It causes doubt in your mind. It causes, was I good enough? Am I good enough? And you look at future relationships and there is a doubt. Am I worthy? You have to get that straight in your own head. When you have your head on straight, finally, then you can start to date. You can start to feel your way through the world again. But you also have to start over in other ways. Thankfully, we split the preps down the middle, and eventually she decided she didn't want some of the other preps, and she gave them to me. So I have those, and I have the location. But where do you go? You know, your partner is gone. The person person who was much better than you at keeping lists and dates is gone. You have to, at first, look at where you're weak as a prepper. Look at where you're weak in the areas of prepping, and then start to educate yourself. Start to just have the discipline to keep the list, to put things where you will know where they are. There's a lot of the preps that I don't know where they are because they're either in a storage unit, in the house we're building, in the middle of the living room while we're working around it, in one garage, or at another house that a friend of mine has graciously given me space in to put stuff. It's rough. Moving 200 miles, started looking for another job, found one. They were good to me. You begin to pull the strands together. You have to balance if you want to date again. The money that you're making. You have to keep to a budget. You have to buy building supplies, and then find the time to work on building your home. It's difficult. Rebuilding is in many ways harder than building. If you look at a house, building a house is pretty easy, relatively speaking. But then you turn around and it gets flood damage. All right? Water gets in the walls, and even when the water drains and dries and recedes, you still have dampness in your insulation, and you have black mold growing. And to rebuild the house, you have to tear down the drywall, pull out the insulation, dry it, clean out the mold, look at all of your studs in your walls, and you discover that a couple have rotted over the years. You have to tear them out. You find out that the ceiling has sagged and the stud that you thought would fit won't, so you have to trim it, or you have to jack up the ceiling. Rebuilding is much harder than building from scratch. The good news is you can do it. For me, my faith did waver, but it never disappeared. I ended up going out with the wrong people a couple of times, dating the wrong people. And I think in some of those relationships, I stayed much longer than I should have because of what I had been through, because I was willing to fight for a relationship, and I was willing to put up with a lot of red flags that had I been thinking clearly, had I not had that baggage, I would have cut and run and said, no, this is not acceptable. When someone is screaming at their child so loudly that the building next door has people opening their windows, looking out, trying to find where the yelling is coming from, it might be a clue that you're not supposed to be there. not going to tell you that work is the only way to cope. Does it help? Yes. We're men. We find our self-worth in doing, whether it's a career path with getting promotions, whether it's being a stay-at-home dad and getting the dishes done, meals on the table, yard work done, dusting the baseboards once a week so that hopefully one day all the little dirt that's in the corners will go away. We take pride in doing. Now, making that your only focus in life, I don't agree with. But take the successes there. Work hard. It does help get away from the voices inside your head, the wrecking ball that goes back and forth. Being able to put that money in the bank, being able to buy the August and Farms vegetable stew that we had in another video, being able to afford the freeze-dried eggs, being able to get your head back in the game is amazing. And in my case, you find things in the least expected places. For me, I knew next to nothing about building a house. I had worked some construction jobs where I'd do this part or that part or this, but never the whole start to finish. And I've told some of this, but I've met someone at work, and she was divorced, and she casually mentioned one day that, well, my ex-husband and I used to flip houses. He would work construction during the day, and I'd work at the house, and then if we moved, we'd flip it, take the money and run, and then reinvest at the next place. And I asked her, I said, I can't pay you much, but I'll pay you, and if we work on a weeknight, I'll give you a guest room, dinner and breakfast before we go to work, if you'll help me. I think her first question was, well, have you weather sealed the house? And I said, what's that? Oh, you've got to caulk all the seams and down the studs. And I said, okay, when do I need to do that? She took the job, and we became very good friends. And I would talk to her about the issues I was having with my then girlfriend, the things going on, and she'd give me advice occasionally, but she, you're in a difficult situation, brother. You need to analyze the situation. And I didn't, understand why at the time. I ended up ending that relationship. And looking back, I could see that it would be hard for someone to, as a friend, say, dude, you're having games run on you. The come here, go away, go away. Oh, wait, come back. That you're going through is not good. And I tried to stay friends with my ex-girlfriend. And one day she said, well, we both know you've been dating Kay a lot longer than, I can't remember, a lot longer than you're willing to admit or something. And I'm sitting there single going, no, but But since you suggested, I think I will ask her out. Well, 7 months later, we're married after a 2-year friendship. I never expected to meet my next wife at work. On paper, the previous girlfriend looked like the perfect prepping partner. You know, grew up on a farm, knows how to grow food, cans, raw feeds animals, dog trainer, vet tech. I mean, boom. Hey, perfect person for the team, right? At work, I meet this person who's actually lived the country life, has treated animals, raised livestock, cans, cooks, gardens, builds. I never thought I'd find that. I never thought I'd find that at work. I'm going to say this. Every person I dated over the last 3 years taught me something and helped me find myself again. So that when my wife and I took that step, I was a whole person. And I think that's what I want to leave you with. Self-analyze. Get your head on straight. While you're doing that, find a way to get your finances in order. Find a way to take care of your kids if they're biologically yours. If there's nothing you can do because they're hers premaritally, understand that you're never going to see them again. And understand that whatever their mom says about you is what they're going to believe. And it's not worth fighting over. We go back to the mirror. If you can look yourself in the mirror, if you can know that you did your best and walk away with your head high, you don't need to fight stories being told about you and tall tales. Move on with your life. Hold your life together. Find your new platform. Find your new base. It's rough. And balancing it all. Finding balance between work, building your preps, building your tiny home if that's what you're building your house if that's what you're doing. Starting over and rebuilding, it's not only terrifying, but it's hard. Everyone can say, oh, just keep your head up. Oh, just keep moving forward. Brother, sister, there are going to be days that you don't want to get out of bed. There are going to be days that you're sitting at your desk at work and tears are going to go down your cheeks while you're working. There are days that you're going to look at your phone and your calendar is going to pop up that it's your adopted daughter's birthday. And you're going to wish that you could be there. You're going to find out that your ex-father-in-law has passed away. And you're going to write down where he's buried so you can go at a different day and pay your respects. I can't tell you how to cope with that. I can tell you that it will get better. I can tell you that over time, if you hold your head together, your finances together. Actually, let's put head here, finances here, relationships with friends here, and keep the Father here. It will all come together. And you'll wake up one day married to the love of your life, who is standing next to you as you build your preps, as you build your new home, or maybe I should say as you build your new house, because when you're with her or him, that's your home. You can do it. I'm here for you. Your friends are here for you. You have some very good friends in your life that you can reach out to. And the Father's always there. I know some of our viewers are not religious, don't believe in religion, don't believe in God. For me, that was the glue that held me together. Even when I went out with people who were physically attractive, but I knew they weren't the one that he had ordained for me in the first couple of dates. He was there, even when I was making mistakes, even when I wasn't listening to him. And thankfully, I never got in over my head where I couldn't undo what I had done, where I couldn't beg for forgiveness and say, okay, I'm not listening to you again. Let's start over. Your head, your faith, your friends, your finances. Those are the pillars that are going to get you through this. And you're going to face some dark times. You're going to face times when you don't think that anyone's out there for you. You know, if you have custody of your kids or visitation, you're going to feel overwhelmed. You're going to feel helpless. You're going to feel like you're working too hard, working too much, and not spending enough time with them. Brother, kids are smarter than you think. They do understand. That's why I like keeping Torah, though. Saturday, I don't work. I spend time with my family. And it allows me a day to worship and to recharge. And I think that's where my strength comes from throughout the week, from him. And having that time to rebuild myself, to re-energize myself. Because I'll tell you, working 40 plus hours a week, and I'm being generous, and there have been some weeks where it was 50 and higher hours. It's tiring. It's draining. And then there's the added frustration of you don't have time to work on your home. You don't have time to build because you're there. with that frustration comes anger. And with that anger comes resentment. But if you have the Sabbath, you have the day to commune with God, to take a deep breath and go, I can do this. He helps you. He pushes you. He leads you. He guides you. I'm not the best follower of the way. I fall short every day. But that's my strength. He is my strength, my comfort. He has blessed me in so many ways. He led me out of a very bad situation. He held me while I got my head on straight. And he put the most amazing, wonderful partner right in my path, right when I needed her most, right when I was ready for her and ready to move forward with her. I hope this helps. I hope somehow my experiences can give you some idea of what to do. My blueprint is not a blueprint for everyone. It was hard-won experiences. And when you're in the moment, you can't see the forest through the trees. You can't see the greater plan. And then when you come through, you can look back and go, oh, wow, okay, I get it now. And I'm going to tell you, there's still things that are going on in life that I don't see an answer to. Whether it be Chinese weather balloons or stock markets opening lower and lower and inflation. I don't have an answer. I have my preps. I have a job. I have a roof over my head. And we keep moving forward. Trusting and believing. Not just because we choose to believe in a mythical sky being, as some people would call it, but because that Father has already shown that he is involved, that he cares, and that he's going to help us through. That's how I see it. That's what worked for me. I hope something I've said can help you. And we're going to do something we haven't done in a long time. We're going to close Prep Talk with prayer. So, as you are able, bow your heads with me. Merciful Father, you know that this subject is something that as I dealt with what we were going to say, I had to turn it over to you because I didn't want to do this video. Please bless everyone who asked about this subject. Please guide them in their lives. Help them to find peace and prosperity. bless every viewer. Walk with them. Keep them. We appreciate you, Father. We love you. Go with us and keep us. Amen. Thanks for watching Prep Talk. Later in the week, we're going to get into the inch bag, and we're going to, as always, keep moving forward. I'll talk to you soon.